Yeah, this is it. This is all there is. There is nothing to be done. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to achieve. There's no one separate from this to find this. This just simply this. Yet being separate from this, um, somebody trying to find this is just that which isn't separate, appearing as that. So all there is this, which is nothing, being every apparent thing. So this can't be found because there's nothing separate from it to find it. This is timeless. This is empty. You can also say this is. There is no other than this. There's nothing else. Yet something else is just this, which is nothing, appearing as that. So the longing that may seem to arise is already arising from nothing. It's already nothing arising as a longing for something. But there is no actual something that can be found, that can be longed for. All these are just stories. The bodily sensations may be felt. It can be felt that there is a real body because of these bodily sensations. But even the body itself is already not there. Everything is energy. Energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. Solidity can only be imagined. There is really nothing solid. Everything is more like space. Even the body itself, when it is recognized that all there is this, it is felt like space. So when there is walking happening, it's like space walking through space. There isn't anybody who's actually walking. Being somebody who's walking, that's just a story. That's just an imagination. That's just a thought construct. That's just how this which is nothing appears to be. So every story is already empty. Every intention is already empty. Every thinking is already empty because it is this already. This is nothing. There are no real human beings. There are no real animals. There are no real trees, mountains. It is just this spaciousness that is aliveness itself, which is undivided as it is. There is no division. So seeking may seem to happen, but it's just a story. Somebody seeking for this, somebody trying to get closer, somebody reciting mantras, reciting the name of God, that's already that which isn't going anywhere, expressing as that's already that which isn't seeking for anything, appearing as seeking. It's already that which is timeless, appearing as time. So there's no death to this. There's no death. There's no bed here. There are no stories here. There's no tomorrow. There's no yesterday. There's no today. There's no now. There's no you even. If this, what is, that which is nothing, expresses as somebody, as a human being, then time will seem to appear. People, animals, trees. But when that one seems to vanish, then everything disappears as well. In a way, it's never really disappearing because it wasn't even there in the first place. So the disappearance itself of somebody is just an illusion. There is no ever somebody who can actually disappear because there is no one who's ever even appeared in the first place. They are just stories of being born, stories of growing up, going to a certain school, getting a certain job, getting married, having a beautiful family. All those are just stories until that comes. It's actually the death of the story. It's the story that seems to be born and then it dies. There's nobody to die because no one has ever been born. What is can never die because what is just this has never been born. And this is unknowable. This is ungraspable. This can never be lost because this is never found. You can call it nothing, you can call it God, all there is, spaciousness. It doesn't really matter. Itself as it is already nameless, is already formless, is already empty, it's already nothing. It's not special, it's not trying, it's not doing anything. It's just there as nothing. It is the unborn itself, that which has never been born. Therefore, there's no death. When the recognition happens, it is always recognized, yeah, that this has never been born. So there's no death. It can never die. It can never be found because it's not a thing. Therefore, it can never be lost. Somebody saying, I found it, but I lost it. There's just a story appearing in it as it. I need to go to town. I need to do this and that. There's just a story appearing in it as it. All these are just appearances. No matter how the story may seem to be convincing that it's real, but it's never real. It's just an appearance in this. Everything is nothing.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Uh, so I sent my mother a draft of the book as well. And there's a large section that's very much based on those questions that I came to you with and that you answered. And I asked my mom what she thought of that section, and she said she felt like it didn't capture the idea of repentance and redemption. She says,
Yeah.
for there to be transcendence, there has to be, in this one, you have to be sorry for who you are. I guess I don't know. Repentance and redemption to put the ego down or something. Um, and Nisargadatta Maharaj, interestingly enough, says something very similar. And I am that. He says that you have to be truly sorry. You have to see clearly and be truly sorry for the imaginary being or something to transcend it. What do you think of all that?
Um, when you say you have to be sorry, can you can you give me more clarity about what?
Well, in the Christian tradition, it would be uh, seeing, acknowledging, and recognizing your sins and asking God for forgiveness would be the way that they would put it. Right.
Yeah,
There's in AA, which I learned from my dad, it's making amends with others, realizing how this personality has hurt other people and going to them and saying that you apologize. But the way I see it is to see I don't know. I don't know how I see it. Maybe to recognize the patterns of your being, um, being beyond your control and setting it down or something. I don't know. But I asked you, what do you think?
you know, when the sense of being separate from this or from everything seems to collapse or to fall away, there's really nothing left. Even what appears to be other people, then it's just it is recognized that there wasn't anybody in the first place.
But to get there,
So
you have to shed the illusory self, right? You have to see through the
yeah,
illusory self. And I think the Christian model is to hand yourself over to God, right?
yeah, yeah, to surrender.
I'm powerless, yeah, to surrender, right?
Yeah,
And to surrender, you have to recognize that you can't do it yourself and that you've done a shitty job. I think is the way that the theory goes. I don't know.
yeah. I would say, but anyway, it's just a story. I would say that the one who has recognized that all there is this, you know, it's just this. Um, there is nobody else. There's nothing separate from this. There's just God. There's never been anyone who's separate. Then, from that standpoint, it can always be seen that whatever the sense or the personal identity has done, it was done from ignorance. So
I'm sorry, you fuzzed out there for a second. It's done from
yeah, everything that was done by the personal identity
right,
was done from ignorance.
ignorance.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
so it is like forgiving. because from that standpoint, from that
Yeah.
seeing, that's uh, you know, even Christ even said, "Forgive them because they don't know what they are doing."
Yes.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, from that seeing, when the apparent separate self has collapsed, then it can be forgiveness can just come naturally, you know.
Right. But one journey trajectory of the West within the Christian doctrine is to, you know, hand over the ego because you feel that, one way to get there, I would say, is complete disgust with yourself. Right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's it.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I would say there's no one way. There are like a lot of different ways. Some may recite the name God, until something happens, and then something disappears, and the illusion just dissipates. You know, some may recite mantras. You know, some may meditate, keep quiet, watch the space between the apparent objects. Some may deny the identity until that seeing, you know, because even glimpses they do they do happen when this all these practices are being done. But even the practices themselves are already happening from that which isn't practicing anything. So from that standpoint, when it is seen that all there is this, even the practice it's okay, fine. But when there is still that personal identity, practice can be seen as just something bad that doesn't need to be done. But when it is seen that all there is this, so there's nothing wrong with the practice. There's nothing wrong with anything because everything is already appearing from this boundless energy. So there is no wrong or right.
And different paths seem suited to different personalities, I would say. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the mind can be turned against itself in inquiry, I would say. It's a pretty
Yeah,
effective.
the story itself can be used as well to like you know the apparent somebody who has realized, even though that is not true in this it is seen here, may meet this one, may meet that one where he is or she is, just there can be a discussion about the story and just go down the river together until we get there.
Come as you are.
Sorry.
Come as you are, I think, is how they say. It meets you how as you are and goes down
Yes.
the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Where you are. Where you are. because in this right here, there's no pride, there's no, you know, everything is one, is seen as one. So there's no dividing line. And this is always talking to itself. This has never spoken to anybody, if I may say. Yet in the story, we can say, I've been talking to Charles and Gossi, but that's as it is, it's not true. It's not true. Yeah. The world as it is not true. It is and isn't, I should say.
You know, in physics is just an amazing field, right? Um, they're able to study things that are very small, come up with theoretical models about how, you know, things work at the subatomic level, and then expand that to cosmology to figure out all these just amazing things. And it's got models. They use models like simultaneity and superposition and all these things that make no sense to our minds. Right? You know, it's basically like, yeah,
Yeah.
things can be in multiple places at once, and it's just a probability density to characterize it. You know, just. But at the same time, there's this other model, you know, this sort of Einstein model or whatever that deals with the physical world in a much more concrete way. Um, and they can't get neither of them work to explain everything, and they can't rectify them. They completely disagree with each other at the core.
Yeah. Hey, and all these big terms that they use there.
Yes, big terms,
Hey,
very big terms.
yeah, it's beautiful.
And there's all these concepts like, you know, dark matter, um, which is just uh, from their calculation, it appears as if most of the stuff that exists cannot be seen or detected in any way, shape, or form. But it has weight. But it actually has weight. It weighs something.
Yeah.
It's like, it's completely strange.
Ah, it is. It is
And, you
strange.
know, so that they do this fancy math and they figure this out. And then one day they see it, right? In space, two nebula collide or something, two universes collide, and just for a second, there's this, they somehow see it, you know, as being some of the absence of everything else or something. I don't know how they saw it, but
Yeah. Um, I don't know if you have noticed this. Um, whenever you watch the sky, you're watching the sky, and then you um I don't know when you take a photo and the picture is blurry, what do you call that?
it's out of focus. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. When you make the sky as you're watching the sky and you watch it as if it's out of focus,
yeah,
then that can uh, allow you to see the electrons, if I may say. I don't know,
yeah,
those sparks,
yeah.
small things like intertwining, moving up and down.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've never seen that.
No, I have. I definitely have. Sometimes I think it's actually stuff on your eyeball. Sometimes you can definitely see things in the air. The sky's right, conditions, you can just see it like this electrical. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I have no idea.
Yeah, they're more like sparks of lights.
Yeah,
Very small, very tiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it
Yeah.
as being the same thing as, I told you when they put those two metal plates and put them together and press them, and there's still like things just popping up between the plates, just randomly uh, materializing out of nothing and then dissolving back to nothing. I envision it's the same thing as that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think probably. Yeah, it's the same.
It's the
It's the same.
it's the magic of the universe, spontaneously erupting and dissolving
Yeah.
at multiple scales. It scales universes, stars, mountains, subatomic particles, all of it, just like breathing,
Yeah.
like us.
I exactly. And I also heard that these sparks you can actually command them to create. You can command those sparks of light to form something in a way. But I think as well there has to be you have to be in a certain frequency to be able to do that. You
You
know,
mean state of
kind
mind? Is
of
that
it.
what do you mean by frequency? State of mind?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Can actually command those to create anything you want. They are there waiting for a command.
I remember when I was just a teenager, there was a new age person who was my boss at a restaurant. And she said, you know, you can make clouds disappear.
Mm,
He said you can just make them disappear. Look at them and just, if you're in the right space, right frequency, you can just command them. And so I started to do it. I don't know how it happened. But then sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe the clouds
yeah,
are ready to dissolve anyway, but sure seemed like I was making clouds disappear.
it does work.
It seems
It
to.
does work. Yeah. You
Asked
know,
us,
when you talk about that, you also remind me when I used to stop the rain. You know, the rain. I had to. I was washing my clothes, and then when I finished my washing, then I had to go to put my clothes on the line. So it was raining very heavily, and then I said, "Stop right now, no more rain." Then I went inside the house, and then the rain stopped. So there were still clouds as well.
right,
So I spoke to the clouds and I told those clouds that were in the position that where I could see them. I told them to create a circle, just a circle for the sunlight to come and touch my clothes, so that my clothes will be dry. And then the space open, the circle open, there was a sun only on that spot, just by a simple command. It's more like a child's play. It's more, you don't have to be serious. You have to like take it for granted
yeah.
and say it. It does happen.
People call that the secret.
Sorry?
People call that The Secret. There's a movie about it and a book about manifesting reality. But of course, the minute you start to talk about that, people start talking about money and things to feed the ego, right?
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
There was a guy named James Allen who was one of the first to write about that stuff, uh, at least in the Western. And he wrote a book called uh, As As a Man Thinketh. As a Man Thinketh. And I think it's from the Bible. As a man thinketh, so it becomes,
Yeah.
right? And it's this little tiny book, written in antiquated, beautiful, flowery English. So he wrote this book and nobody read it. It was, not picked up in his time. But very
Wow.
quickly after he wrote that book, he wrote many other kind of little tiny books about Buddhism and Christianity and about things that were much more deep, you know.
Mm,
And it feels like a rite of passage almost, you know. You
mm,
go through this phase where, you know, if you feel you understand that you're everything and that somehow the command is outside your body, immediately there's an urge to ride the tiger or whatever, you know.
mm,
Very quickly, you realize that that's empty, you know, right? It's using magic to change the course of the physical world is not what it's about. It's about something that's much more profound. And he went to that level, you know. That's what I think of on a lot of these sort of things. And also, it feels like a trap, you know. There's there's the story about Christ in the desert and the devil tempts him. You know,
mm.
you can have
I
anything.
remember.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's very easy to um, fall back into the story of the illusory self, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, things somehow worrying about things, money, the material things, those usually puts the petrol in the fire of the ego, the separate self becomes more stronger. You know. Yeah.
Right. In India, there was this in the 60s, a lot of Americans and Europeans went over to India. Um, a lot of guys who were doing yoga or tantra or whatever at that time came to the West and were immediately, you know, treated like gods and immediately started to fuck everything that moves. Whatever magic they had, they quickly threw out the door and began to start cults or whatever. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, what is so-called magic? it usually happens when you see nothing separate, when you see that everything is actually you, is actually yourself. So when you talk to something, you're not talking to something else that is different from you. You're actually talking to yourself. So in a way, somehow that's which you are talking to recognizes that which is talking is actually still itself. So that's how what is so-called magic usually happens. But when they still that uh, identity, the sense of being separate, it may seem to be difficult. There may seem to be a lot of efforts that is made to get there, to do this, if I may say. A lot of focus, a lot of attention, a lot of mind, um, to work on the mind, to focus, to be able to do that. But when it is seen that all there is this, everything is one, everything's effortless. It's more like a child's play. It's like a play. You don't take anything seriously, just say clouds, move away. They move. Yeah. That can be done by anyone. That can be done by anyone. You And the sense of being separate from everything, seeing different people, I can also say that's magic. It's how this uses its magic to create something that doesn't even exist, to make something that is not there to seem as if it's really there. The separation in different people and yourself is not there. So that's another magic that is being used in a way.
Can you say that a different way?
Sorry?
Can you say that a different way?
No, I said in a way, it's it's more like magic, you know, when there's a sense of being separate and somebody seeing others, different people, different family members, different trees, whereas there's no actual separation. It's just everything is just this, just one. So this somehow also the magic can be used to to make something that is not there as if it's really there.
So what you're saying is everything that we consider as magic is reality, and everything that we consider an illusion is actually the magic.
Yeah, you can say like that.
All right, Nkosi, I need to go start my day.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good
Talk to you
one.
next week.